Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Power System Deregulation course. Yesterday, I have started this market participation issues, but I would like to revise the things which I have started yesterday, and I'll be continuing the issues which are concerned with pricing also. Okay, so today's topic is about improving our knowledge on market participation issues of GENCOs, and in particular, what are the steps which are to be followed by GENCOs when they are bidding for electricity. And at the same time, I will give you a small introduction regarding market price forecasting, which is a crucial step in the bidding process of GENCOs. So moving further, we will start with what do you mean by the GENCO? GENCO is basically any company representing the power generation, or it can be a seller, or sometimes it can be a buyer also. But in this lecture, we will consider that GENCO is a seller of electricity in the markets. And we have seen in the previous lectures that the role of GENCO in pool and bilateral markets is different. In a pool market, its role is very limited. It just has to prepare the bids based upon few steps which we have discussed already, and after finalizing its bid, it submits its bid to the pool operator, where the pool operator, after doing simulations, he will finalizes the schedule. Whereas in a bilateral market, or what we call it as an open access market, in these markets, the GENCO has a huge responsibility. It has to sort out its buyers, make some agreements with them, and sell the electricity to them by requesting transmission services from independent system operator. And any additional generation it has to sell its additional generation in the spot markets which are available. So multiple jobs are there for GENCO in a bilateral market, whereas in a pool market, its job is very limited. And today's class is completely focusing on how the bids are placed by the GENCOs, what is the procedure which they will be opting out when they are placing the bids. So as already said, the bidding process is related to pool markets, isn't it? So we will go on. We will start with what are the regular functions of GENCO, and we will start with what is a bidding process and what it involves in this, and then we will see step by step the procedure. Okay, so moving ahead at the starts, if you can see, the regular functions of GENCO are, first thing is to meet bilateral contracts. In case of a bilateral market, you are supposed to meet the bilateral contracts, and if it is a pool market, it is supposed to go with the trading for the next day. And if it is an open access market, or if it is a hybrid market, then part of its generation will go to the bilateral contract, and the rest, or any additional generation which it has, it goes to the trading. It goes to the pool, whether it is a pool market, spot pool market, hour ahead or day ahead, or future market. Future market we are not considering in this lecture, so I am limiting myself only to day ahead or hour ahead markets. So any generation which is already scheduled to meet bilateral contracts, it will be done, and the rest of the generation, or if there is a possibility of additional generation, that will be moving on to the trade in the pool. Okay, so normally what are the regular functions of GENCO? First thing is it will schedule its own generation to meet these things, and if possible, it tries to optimize its generation. They have seen economic load dispatch, unit commitment. These all come under optimization of generation. So these are the two jobs of GENCO which are common in either of the markets. And we always feel that there are some complex issues which are associated with these two steps. The first thing is when you are going with the trade markets, you are supposed to place a bid, and to place a bid, you should mention that this is my expected price. As you all know, market prices are always volatile in nature. We can't predict them. They are very uncertain, isn't it? So if you quote too much and if the demand is too less, then automatically we will be left out. And if the demand is too high, if you quote too low, then you won't get maximum margins. So that's why an idea of what the market prices are is very much needed. And that's why, since these are uncertain basically, so this is the biggest issue for the GenCos for everyday submission of the bids. And the second thing is the technical constraints which it experiences when turning on its generators. You know that it has generators. A GenCo basically has different units of generation. And technically speaking, as an electrical engineer, we know what are the difficulties in turning on or turning off a generator. So that's fine. These are the complex issues which are normally faced by the GenCos. Okay. Moving ahead, just penning down these two issues broadly. The first thing is finding the dispatch and unit commitment decisions while maximizing the profits. We have seen in the last course also, PSOC unit number 2, where we dealt with economic load dispatch and unit commitment. Just for doing 2 units itself is a tedious thing. And doing these things with all the constraints which we do have, we have seen that there are so many constraints. There are upper limits, there are lower limits, upper limit and lower limit for active power, complex power, reactive power, voltage, frequency. Different variables are there which do have different constraints. And there are ramp rates also. So with all these constraints coming into existence, it is always a very difficult thing to find optimum unit commitments and optimum economic load dispatch, and that too with the target of maximum profits. So that's why it is always a big issue for the GenCos. And second thing is how to, as already been said, uncertainties in the pricing. So always it is a little bit tougher task for the GenCos to make some trading decisions, isn't it? Particularly when they are in the markets. It is a tough task when to buy, when to sell. Sometimes if the price is too low, rather than selling, why don't you buy it and store it if you do have enough flex, and then sell it when you do, when there is a demand in the market. So it is always a tougher decision for the GenCos. And last thing is, whenever, as already said, when you are into the markets, the biggest problem always is bidding strategy. What is your bidding strategy? Whether you want to buy or sell, what is your decision? At what price you want to sell and how much you want to sell? Are you meeting your own requirements or not? So these are several things which are associated with the GenCos. A GenCo is forced to answer too many questions to itself when it enters the spot markets. Okay, so with all these things, now what we can say, the GenCo always tries to provide an optimum bidding strategy. It always has an optimum bidding strategy. It should have an optimum bidding strategy and should place a very perfect bid such that it procures maximum profit, isn't it? So now, with this objective in our mind, let's see what are the factors which do affect the bidding procedure or the bidding strategy of the GenCos. Now, if let us suppose if I am a person who own a GenCo, then what are the factors which I will be thinking when I am placing my bid in the market? So what are the factors? The first thing is technical constraints, because I have to think about my own technical constraints. I can't promise that I can generate this much amount of power because I do have my own technical constraints. My generators sometimes may take too much amount of time for turning on. So I must know about my generators very well. So the first and foremost thing is technical constraints which I should think of. The second thing is economic interests. Economic interest is a very broad thing. So what I can say simply is that what is the profit which I am expecting. So second thing is profits which I'm expecting, and the third thing is uncertainty in the market trade. This we will see in the last lecture of this course. But these first two are the most important things. One, I should think about my technical constraints. Second thing is my financial interests. These two will primarily affect my bidding strategy. Okay, and next, moving on. See, this is the planning activity of a Genco. So, as already been said, as already we have been discussing in the last class also, a quick recap of what is a planning activity. Okay, so first of all, if I am a Genco, basically, what should I do? First of all, I am supposed to sell my remaining electricity after completing my bilateral agreements or so. I am supposed to sell my remaining electricity to the markets, isn't it? So let us suppose I have 200 megawatts of power and I have 50 megawatts of reserve with me. And unfortunately, I got only 100 megawatts of bilateral contracts. So the remaining 100 megawatts, which I have already scheduled, I have thought of generating this 100 megawatts of power apart from the bilateral contracts. So this 100 megawatts of power, what I should do? I should go to the pool markets and I should sell it, isn't it? If I am supposed to sell it, it's not just like I am going to a shop and selling it, right? In a pool market, we know that I am supposed to submit a bid a day before. Or if it is an hour ahead market, short-term market, I have to submit a bid well before the time. So what does that bid consist of? The bid consists of the price, isn't it? The price which I am expecting. As already been discussing, the price which I am expecting is the biggest question. You know the supply demand principle in economics. If demand is high, then you can go with a higher price. If demand is low, don't expect higher prices, isn't it? If supply is high, demand is low, the price will automatically come down. If supply is low, demand is higher, then the price can be higher. So these thoughts must be there in your minds, isn't it? You must have a proper forecasting of prices. Prices, how can you expect prices? Prices, if you want to know about the prices, you should have a forecasting of the demand, isn't it? If you know very well about the demand, then you can expect what can be the price. If the demand is going to be high, then prices can be high. If demand is low, the prices will be low. So instead of thinking about price forecasting, I must think about demand forecast. And what is the important factor which affects the demand, guys? What is the important factor which affects the demand? You can say that setting up of industries will increase the demand, but it is a very long run, right? It is a long-term activity. Short-term activity which affects the demand is weather, isn't it? If it is very hot, then automatically the demand will be very high and the generation can be also very low. Whereas if it is a cool day, let us suppose, or if it is a if it is a very cool night, then automatically the demand will be very bit lower. That's it. Simple equations. So for that, what I should go? I should also have weather forecast also, isn't it? So there are various things which do influence the price. So first of all, as a seller, I must have few things. So for tomorrow, let us suppose I do have 100 megawatts and I'm ready to sell it in a pool markets, and my volume is fixed. I can provide 100 megawatts of power, and time I am supposed to sell it whether I am available for generation for 24 hours or for 12 hours. First of all, I should know about what are the timings which they are expecting, which the pool market is going to operate. If they are operating hourly basis, I should provide them hourly generation. Okay, 9 to 10, this can be my generation. 10 to 11, this can be my generation. 11 to 12, this can be my generation. Like that, hourly generation schedules. So for that, I should know what are the time slots of that one. So that's why I have mentioned here. See, what are the things which are required for me? First thing is time series information. Second thing is weather forecast and any other information, system information on the system condition. So if I know all these things, then I can go with the price forecasting. I can expect that, okay, this might be the price. So for 9 to 10, if this is the demand, if this is the climate, this can be the demand. So if this is the demand, then this can be the price. So this is the cycle which must be going on in my mind. This must be the strategy which I must be following, right? So I'll be doing my price forecast. I'm assuming right now day ahead markets. Okay. So day ahead markets. So I'm with all these inputs which I do have, I'm trying to make up some price forecast. So based upon that, if let us suppose if there is really a demand, very high demand, then I'll be expecting that, okay, fine, 10 rupees can be the rate at which I can ask, isn't it? If that is a thing which I can ask, then immediately what must be my thought? If I'm supposed to get 10 rupees per hour, 10 rupees per unit, then why not my cost of generation so that my max reached, isn't it? So must be always getting maximum profit. 10 rupees cost is fixed that I will be getting. Now, if I'm supposed to, I must reduce my cost of generation. How to reduce cost of generation? That is a concept of economic load dispatch, which we have already done, isn't it? So that's why you see price based unit commitment model for next day. So I will make some unit commitment model such that I will reduce my cost of generation. So price in my mind, I will try to reduce my cost of generation. I will decide which unit is supposed to run for which time. And based upon that, I will make hourly economic load dispatch. All these two things, unit commitment and economic load dispatch, are done to minimize the cost of generation. Based upon this price, if my cost of generation is low, based upon that, if let us suppose if my cost of generation is 2 rupees and I predict that 10 rupees can be the price, so my bidding strategy will be, I will now place my bidding strategy that I will ask for 8 rupees, then defaultly it will go, I will get 6 rupees profit, or else I will ask for 850 or 9 rupees, like that. So based upon this price forecasting and based upon this generation, optimal generation, which I have made some simulations, I will place my bidding strategies. If it is accepted, then I will be getting maximum, I will be reaping in maximum profits. If it is not cleared, what should I do then? If it is not cleared, then what can I do? I can't do anything. So immediately I will jump to one more market. Day ahead market is closed. So next thing what I do have, next option, hour ahead markets or short term market or instantaneous market. Instead of predicting for a day before, I may go for predicting an hour before. So see, that's why bidding decisions for the short term markets. If it is there also, if it is not sold, nothing I can do. I'll be in losses for that day. Okay, this is the activity plan of a GENCO, how they participate in the energy market. See how much big thing is that. Okay, now, and these are the steps which I included. This earlier I have shown you in the flow chart. Now this is one mechanism basically. Okay, how these 5 steps, these I have included in the form of detailed steps which you can go through. Yeah. Now the question is short-term trading. Short-term trading is, I have mentioned to you day ahead markets. We have seen day ahead markets also so far. Short-term trading is about trading for short-term periods. Okay, which means hour ahead market, what I can say, where I'm supposed to submit my bid for just immediate next hour, which means I must be ready with the generation, because I will be getting only short duration for intimation. Okay, so that's why in markets where there is a provision for short-term trading, the GENCOs need to forecast the short-term market prices and also formulate their short-term biddings on an hour-to-hour basis. Let us suppose time is now 12 o'clock. I am supposed to bid for 1 to 2 p.m. And if I am selected, immediately I must be ready to schedule my generation. Okay. So this type of markets are called as short-term markets. I have shown you in the last slide also. If I am not selected for the day-ahead markets, I am supposed to go with short-term markets. Okay. Now, in all of these things, if you can carefully see, whether it is a short-term market or whether it is a if you can carefully see whether it is a short-term market or whether it is a price forecasting is important. See, this is the price forecasting. Whether it is day-ahead market and short-term market, price forecast itself is crucial for any gen. You are supposed to predict the price. And what factors do affect the price prediction? One such factor is weather forecast and other technical information also, but the primary thing is weather forecast. This is one of the key things which affects the price forecast. And there are other factors also. Okay. Now let's see a quick introduction regarding the price forecast, market price forecast. Even the third unit is exclusively on market pricing, how the forecast will be done. I will just give a glimpse about how the market prices can be forecasted. Okay. And what are the issues involved in this one. We will discuss step by step now. And you can see that the first thing itself, an important input to the decision making activities of Genco is a very good forecast of the market prices. This is very much needed. A good entrepreneur must forecast the demand and also the price. Otherwise, we cannot sustain in the business. That is a basic rule of business, isn't it? And this price forecasting in electricity markets refers to for day-ahead markets, hour-ahead markets, week-ahead markets. So different types of markets are there. We have seen in the first unit. There are nearly 6 different types of markets are there. Future markets, forward markets, short-term markets, day-ahead markets. So for different types of markets, you are supposed to submit your bid. Let us suppose if power is to be purchased 3 years before and contracts are made now itself, then also you are supposed to predict the price for the future 3 years and submit the bid now itself. That is what is called as a future market. So that's why price forecasting refers to day ahead or a week ahead forecasting. And particularly the price in the spot markets or the short-term market. See, how many types of markets are there? Particularly what we are referring is, I'll highlight it again. Yes. Day ahead markets, week ahead markets, and short-term markets. You must be successful in predicting the prices for different types of markets because you are supposed to submit a bid. That is the only thing which you do have. Only thing how you can sell is your bid must be shortlisted. And what will be there in your bid? Pricing. So you must go with an appropriate price. Are bid select kaavadaniki nenu takkuke estanu anukunnam anuko neeku profit raadu. And if there is no profit, it is nothing to do business. Right? So that's why price forecasting is very important. Because why? Because if you have properly done this price forecasting, see, it helps the Genco to bid for power sell or buy appropriately and strategically, thereby providing high returns, which means you can reap in profits if you can. I have said you one thing. Let us suppose in the markets, you do have 100 megawatts of capacity which you need to sell. And let us suppose the market price is very, very low. You are expecting 2 rupees 50 paise, but the market is just, and based upon your prediction, the market price can be only 1 rupee. Are you ready to sell now? No, because it will not even give you some basic operation cost also. In that case, what you should do? A good and he thinks of buying electricity. He will act as a buyer then. He tries to buy the electricity and stores it. And then he will sell it whenever it is required, if there is a possibility of storing. Understands? This is the concept of market pricing. Now I will show you one good example in this one. Now let us suppose there is a generator 1, and let us suppose there is one buyer, and let us suppose there is a mutual contract between these two guys that he is supposed to sell 100 megawatts of power, and the rate which is fixed is 10 rupees. This is 100 megawatts of power for 24 hours, and the schedule is for 25 by 10. Are you able to see the screen? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I'll draw it in a very much bigger fashion if you need it. This is what happens. You might get a doubt, sir, why a Genco goes to buying? This, okay, I'll take this slide. I think this is a empty slide, right? So I'll take, yeah. Now let us suppose this is a generator. Okay, and there is a discom here, and he has a bilateral contract BC of 100 megawatts at 10 rupees, and the schedule is 25 by 10. Okay, today is 15th, right? Okay, so and the schedule is for 16th. Let us suppose I'm considering only 16th. 16 by 10. So this is the agreement which was generated between the generator that he should provide 100 megawatts of power at 10 rupees on 16th of the thing, and it was a bilateral contract. Okay. Now this generator has now 200 megawatts of power. Then for 16th. Okay, today is only 15th. Okay, for tomorrow he has a capacity to generate 200 megawatts of power, and 100 megawatts of power he is already ready to sell it to Discom. But he has a capability of generating 100 megawatts of power additionally, which he wants to make some profit by selling it, right? So he couldn't find any buyer, so he will try to enter the markets. So there is a market here, and he wants to sell this one 100 megawatts the next day. But the fact is that the basic cost of production which he is expecting is 2 rupees 50 paise. He will make sufficient money when he sells it here. But the fact is that this Discom he wants only 100 megawatts of power, so he wants to sell the remaining 100 megawatts of power at some 3 rupees in the pool. But unfortunately, the pool price is very, very low. Tomorrow there is not going to be any demand, so that's why the pool prices may be very, very low, and unfortunately it is going to hit the bottom at 1 rupees per hour. Sorry, 1 rupee per unit. See, this is the price which will be for electricity tomorrow. Then what a successful entrepreneur will do? Can anybody suggest? What should he do? Can anybody suggest in the chat box? What is the best thing which he can do? Should he sell the electricity? Because his basic cost of production is 2.5. At least if he sells it for 2.5, then it will be no profit, no loss. But if the price is 1 rupee, then is it suitable for him to sell this 100 megawatts at 1 rupee? As an entrepreneur, will you accept it? Anybody in the chat box? May I know how many of you are listening? Anybody listening in the class? Okay. Gayatri, can you say, is it profitable basically to sell it at 1 rupee? No, it is not going to be a profitable one, right? So in that case, what he should do, instead of providing 100 megawatts from his own capacity, what he will do is he will buy the electricity tomorrow at 1 rupee and he will sell it to this guy. Understood now? This is the basic thinking of an entrepreneur, isn't it? Rather than generating electricity at 2.5 per unit and selling it at 10 rupees, why not he buy the electricity in the pool markets at 1 rupee and sell it for 10 rupees? So he is now not acting as a Genco, but he is acting as a broker. He is acting as a retailer, what I can say. Understood now? So sometimes Gencos, they will buy electricity also if the market price is very low to meet their own demands. Understood now? So this is the concept of a Genco buying electricity in the markets. Okay. So I hope you have understood. So that's why I have told you. This is important because an accurate forecast will help the Genco to bid for power sell or buy. That's why I have mentioned power selling or buying. Genco can buy power if it has proper forecasting of price. Okay. And as already been said, the price forecasting has nothing to do with the bilateral contract prices. But if the prices are continually very low, then defaultly the bilateral parties will negotiate, will try to renegotiate, isn't it? So that's why there are chances that bilateral contract prices also, they may tend to be indirectly affected by the spot price trends. It is not mandatory, but they tend to be affected slightly. Okay. And last thing, in short-term markets particularly, hour ahead markets, the prices can be fully volatile. Immediate గా ఎవరికైనా పవర్ కావాల్సి వచ్చింది అనుకుందాం, because of some or other reasons. There can be so many reasons, guys. But unfortunately, if somebody wants it now, means he is ready to pay at any cost. He is ready to pay any cost for procuring power. So that's why in a short-term market, the prices are very volatile, and there can be many reasons for this. There can be sudden power outages, or there may be sudden temperature variations, weather variations, technical and meteorological effects will be there. Because of these reasons, in short-term markets, the prices will be very, very, very volatile. And if any person is ready to supply in short-term markets, then he will reap in huge amounts of profits. But the biggest problem in short-term markets is we must be ready to generate and sell electricity in a very shorter duration. Okay. So now coming to the price forecasting. Price forecasting, as already been said, there are day-ahead markets, week-ahead markets, and short-term markets are there. Apart from that, we have seen in the first unit itself that there are forward and future prices also, isn't it? Prices can be sold at a later stage in the future, isn't it? So that's why price forecasts in the general sense can also include forecast of future and forward market prices. These two types of markets do exist for commodities, and nowadays electricity is also treated as commodity, and that's why even for electricity also there is a future markets. Okay. And these markets, sometimes they last for months, and sometimes they will extend even up to 10 years also. Okay. And these forecasts are helpful for Genco if it thinks of investing in expanding its capacity. Now I will tell you, let us suppose in the upcoming 10 years, right now this is 2021, in 2020, in 2030, if you predict that if you predict that there is going to be a huge demand for electricity, and if we can predict that the price of electricity is going to be very, very high, then automatically as an entrepreneur, what will I do? I will start investing in setting up of new plants, in increasing my production levels. I will improve my maintenance so that by 2030, I will be ready with a vast portfolio, with a very wide portfolio of generation. Or let us suppose this is 2021. By 2020-26, let us suppose the world has decided to operate only on renewable energy. Then what I will do as an entrepreneur? I will start investing now itself in renewable energy with a single target of reaping in maximum profits by 2026. So by 2026, I will be ready with renewable energy generation, and I will be ready for selling renewable energy, isn't it? So in that way, expecting future prices is also very much important. It will help us. It will help us not only in don't think about making profits. It will help us in expanding our business, expanding our portfolio, expanding our capacity. Okay, so that's why price forecasting is not only limited to hourly basis or weekly basis or daily basis. It can be extended to months and also for years. Okay, the next, generally, what is a tool which is used for forecasting? As you all know, there is one particular tool which is called as a conventional linear regression analysis technique, which is widely used forecasting tool for prices of different commodities. And nowadays, you know, the various futuristic techniques, and in particular artificial intelligence techniques, AI and neural networks and fuzzy are exclusively used for forecasting prices. So there are different artificial intelligence techniques which are generally used for forecasting the prices. And how to forecast a price, it is way beyond our contents. You'll be learning this thing in the next semester course of AITW. And what are the approaches for price forecasting? There are different approaches which we see in artificial neural networks itself. Normally, we do employ two basic approaches when we generally employ neural networks. A linear regression model of neural networks. That how we do is nothing but, can anybody suggest me how anything can be forecasted? That's a basic simple principle. If we do have sufficient data of the past, then we can expect the future. Simple equation, simple intelligence, isn't it? The same is applied to a computer, and it is called as an artificial intelligence. You know, artificial neural networks also depends upon the simple equation that it requires a lot amount of past data. So based upon the previous data, if the past data is huge, then the expectations also, then the forecasting also can be very close, very realistic. So that's why the statistical method basically employs time series analysis of past data of market prices of the past 5 years. If you do have for the past 20, very good. So with the computer, by applying artificial neural networks, you can predict what can be the price for the next. It is only prediction. Dynamic, it is not dynamic, it is prediction only. Okay, so that is one statistical method. The other thing is completely by simulation. One is time series analysis, which is done, this is done basically manually. Sometimes nowadays computers are also coming to picture. The other one is completely by simulation. Okay, so two approaches are there basically for price forecasting. And one more thing which I would like to mention. Nowadays is particle swarm optimization and anthill algorithms are also generally employed for, genetic algorithms are generally employed for price forecasting. Okay. And finally, what I need to conclude is, there are so many issues with the GenCos. It is not that much easy just to generate the electricity. As an electrical engineer, we are more involved into generation of electricity, right? Everybody wants to become an engineer at GenCo. If you become an engineer, what you will do, you will sit at the plant and go for the maintenance. But if you are an entrepreneur, your job is not to generate electricity. Your job is to sell electricity also, to market the product which you have developed. That's where a successful entrepreneur is. In that case, it is a very complex process of how better you can sell your products. Electricity is your product, and you do have so many issues, and those issues are discussed so far. There are various complex issues, and which are in particular dependent on the uncertainty in the pricing, which indirectly or directly depends upon the weather and also on the demand, isn't it? And these complex operations, if properly done, if properly understood, and if the pricing is properly predicted, if forecasting is clearly done, then you can reap in very good profits. You take Ambani's, you take Adani's, how they are doing it. People can say that they are gaining profits by brute force. No, it can be partially, but really they are entrepreneurs who are able to predict the future. See Geo Digital, they have perfectly predicted the future, and that's why they are the market leaders. Everybody's target is very simple: to garner money, isn't it? And garnering money is not possible with a job. It is possible only if you own entrepreneurship, predict the future very well, market yourself very well, and if you are able to sell the things very well. Okay. In all this process, proper decision making is required. I hope you all become good entrepreneurs, particularly in the electrical industry, by understanding this electrical engineering very well. Don't limit yourself only to the technical things. Improvise your knowledge in marketing skills also. That makes you a perfect entrepreneur. Okay. So with this, I'll be stopping this session of market issues, and also this entire pool markets and bilateral markets, all these issues I'll be stopping. And I hope you have now understood with this entire 1.5 units. You have now understood what is a market and what are the different types of markets and what are the different players in the markets and what are the problems which they do face. It is not just what we read in 20 slides. If you think it more practically, you can understand as an entrepreneur how much tough task is there in marketing our products. And in particular, in this lecture, we have seen that there are so many complex issues. And I hope now you are able to list out at least a few complex issues with which the GenCos will be facing. And I hope you will be able to clearly explain the process which is involved in the bidding process in finalizing the bids of GenCos. Okay. And these are the questions from assignment number 5, weekly assignment number 5. You can go through these things. And this is a textbook which, if anybody is interested, you can go through this textbook for more information. And that's it from my side. Thank you. And I'm open for the discussions. Anybody?